When I first saw the leaks of Chapter 236, I thought they were fan-made. But after spending 2 hours trying to look for the true leaks, I finally went to TikTok. The very first video I saw was about the death of Gojo. My FYP was full of Chapter 236. To put it simple, JJK ruined my day. I was in a deep depression. In my mind I was thinking about the fight, and how could a fight go from Sukuna badly holding on to dear life, to Gojo completely getting off-screened. Gojo in Chapter 235 was beating the crap out of Sukuna in a 3v1, but Gerger didn't like that. This really ruined my day. Gerger for plot really had to do that to Gojo. Okay guys, spoilers alert. And before I ruin your day and make it better again, please take the like button and throw it to Sukuna slashes, and please subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Before I tell you how Gojo can make a return, first I need to explain the sad and happy details. In JJK Chapter 236, the chapter begins with Gojo in the afterlife, or maybe he's imagining this conversation. Anyway, Geto says hey, long time no see, and young Gojo is clearly shocked. The two are then sitting and Gojo says, "You're kidding me, this sucks." Geto replies and says, "Pretty rude thing to say after seeing someone's face." Gojo says, "I've always told my students when you die you'll be alone. So please tell me this is just some ridiculous dream." Geto then says, "Does it matter?" Gojo then says, "No shit," and then there is the stuff with his dead. But I guess I asked Shoko to handle that. Geto asks about his fight with Sukuna. Gojo replies and says he's insanely friggin' strong and wasn't giving it all he had. And Gojo states that, "Honestly, I don't think I would have won, even if he didn't have Megumi's 10 shadow technique." Geto is shocked because he couldn't believe someone made Gojo admit that. Gojo says he feels sorry for Sukuna and says he's no stranger to being isolated. "There was always a gulf between me and other people, even if they adored me. You can admire becoming a flower, but you can't ask if to understand you." Gojo then states he put everything he had into trying to reach him. To make him understand, all my physical training, those techniques I mastered, my explosiveness, quick thinking and attempts at humor, I gave it all, but it wasn't enough. Next panel shows Sukuna, and it states the loneliness that come with unrivaled strength. The one who will reach you about love is. The next panel shows Gojo saying he had fun, and says Sukuna wasn't able to give me his all, though I think that's a damned shame. Is Gojo seriously saying this? On multiple occasions he clearly defeated Sukuna, but he got saved by Mahoraga. Geto replies and says, "Well, consider me jealous. You at least had the satisfaction of going out with a bang." Gojo says, "Satisfaction, huh?" Gojo then says his own disappointment is Geto not being there to give him a slap on the back. Geto with a tear on his eye tries to laugh. Gojo then says, "But I guess I am glad I died facing a strong opponent. It'd have been embarrassing if I let some disease or old age get the best of me." Nanami says, "What are you, a samurai? Seriously, you should know it's poor taste to think like that in the present." Gojo exclaims, "Huh?" and Nanami says, "Then again, that mindset of yours is probably why you outlived me." Haibara to both Gojo and Nanami says, "You and Gojo just miscalculated a bit. I remembered once asking Geto why we can't just leave it to you. After all, you never cared about keeping sorcery going or protecting people. You were just in the game because you got a kick out of it." Truth is, we all thought that about Gojo, but we couldn't bring ourselves to say it out loud. Someone say to Haibara why he's bringing it out now. Haibara apologizes. Nanami to Haibara says, "Well, that feeling about you was just proven right by your actions seconds ago." Nanami to Gojo says that he can't says he approves, but he does sympathize. "It was a lifting way for you to go out." Gojo replies to Nanami and says, Yeah, thanks, and how do you feel about your demise?" Haibara then says, "He kinda butted in back then." Nanami says, "Curses can bring people back to life, the same way sorcery can." Nanami tells Gojo that he once asked Mei about where he should go leave. He exclaims that she said, "If you'd like to become someone new, go north. If you would like to return to who you once were, go south." He then says, "Back then I didn't hesitate in moving south. I have always been someone who loves looking to the past, so I found it ironic when I died betting on the future. As final moments go, it wasn't too bad. So I'm grateful to Haibara." Haibara says, "You are too kind." Gojo then says, "I see," and yells principal, and says, "I thought you said a jujutsu sorcerer dies without regrets." The next panel shows Gojo, Geto, Nanami, Haibara, Curio and Riko, all smiling, and says, "Now he's hoping this isn't a dream." The next panel changes to Gojo, who is laying down on the ground, bleeding out from having been sliced in half. Sukuna explains Mahoraga's adaptation that can start after only a single attack, then it slowly starts to analyze. In its completion, it's only a matter of time. If it receives another identical attack during the calculation period, the adaptation accelerates, meaning Mahoraga will adapt faster. Once a technique is adapted to, the analysis doesn't stop there, it continues to adapt further. Sukuna exclaims, "What I wanted from Mahoraga was a model to tear through your infinity." After first adapting, Mahoraga was altering the essence of its own cursed energy. In order to neutralize and nullify your infinity, that was something I was unable to do, so I waited. I waited for it to discover another adaptation to counter your infinity, one I could use. The second adaptation was exactly what I had been anticipating. But it wasn't sending slashes flying as I do. If it was expanding technique's target further, its intended target wasn't just you, Gojo, but the space, the entire world existence itself. It targeted everything before it unleashed those slashes. Gojo's body is shown decapitated in half. As Sukuna says, your infinity meant nothing as long as it existed within that space, that world. It would all be torn apart. It was near impossible technique to pull off, but that model proved to be quite effective. I know some of you didn't completely understand how Sukuna bypassed Gojo's infinity. So I will try to put it in simple words. So basically, Sukuna explained how Mahoraga's adaptability works. It depends on the amount of time passed after the Shikigami receive a hit. He wanted the Shikigami to be a blueprint that passes through Gojo's infinity. Instead of directly attacking Gojo, Mahoraga targeted the space around him. Sukuna knew what Gojo's Limitless was capable of, so he decided to play smartly, relying completely on Mahoraga. Meanwhile, the Shikigami continues changing his cursed energy, which helped it to create a blueprint. This blueprint played a pivotal role in overpowering Gojo's infinity. That was seen when Mahoraga's cyst energy reached its full potential, and the Shikigami released an attack to target the entire space, not Gojo. And since the entire infinity was cut in half and Gojo was inside the infinity, Gojo got sliced as well. Now let's go back to the manga. Sukuna praises Gojo by saying, "You did well, Gojo. I won't forget you for as long as I live." Someone is seen jumping off a building. Sukuna, after sensing it, he says, "I'm feeling great now, so please don't spoil my pleasure." The narrator says, sparing no time to mourn for the death of Gojo, he launches off to the battlefield. Kashimo Hajime, the god of lightning. Now I will explain to you how Gojo can be revived. I know the narrator said Gojo is dead, but the narrator sometimes lies. Currently, there are two theories suggesting Gojo's possible return, and we'll delve into them in detail. Theory number 1, regenerating himself with the reversed curse technique. The reversed curse technique stands out as a unique method where users convert negative energy into positive, primarily to heal or regenerate wounds. But the question arises, how can Satoru Gojo utilize this technique to heal himself, especially in his current state? To understand this, we need to explore the origins of both cursed energy and its reversed counterpart, recalling the intense battle between Kashimo and Hikari during the Culling Games arc, which spanned from chapter 186 to chapter 190. There was a moment when Kashimo aimed for Hikari's brain. Why this specific target? It's because the reversed curse technique draws its energy directly from a sorcerer's brain. On the other hand, looking back at the hidden inventory arc, particularly the fight between Gojo and Toji Fushiguro, Toji indeed killed Gojo, but he was resurrected. Following his resurrection, Gojo explains that he can only be truly defeated if his head is entirely removed. Piecing these insights together, it's conceivable that Gojo has a chance at resurrection. Even though Mahoraga's attack severely damaged Gojo's lower half, his upper body, crucially including his head, remains intact. This suggests he still has the potential to use reversed cursed energy. However, a challenge remains. While the reversed curse technique is a skill generated by a sorcerer's brain, it's still a subset of cursed energy. So how will Gojo produce this energy? Typically, a sorcerer's cursed energy is birthed in the stomach. Given that Gojo's upper body, which includes both his stomach and head, is still intact, there's a glimmer of hope. If Gojo maintains enough consciousness, he might be able to tap into his cursed energy and the reversed curse technique to heal himself. Theory number 2, Mei's conversation with Nanami and Gojo. Chapter 236 of the series unveils a conversation that might be the most significant in the entire manga. As the chapter opens, we witness Gojo with familiar faces like Nanami, Geto, and others. This conversation, occurring within Gojo's mind, is essentially his farewell to his close friends. Nanami candidly shares that he can't fully support Gojo's actions and would feel sorrow over his death. Curious, Gojo asks Nanami about his feelings in his last moments before Mahito's fatal attack. Nanami recalls a past conversation with Mei, who had said, "Move north if you want to look for yourself but from a different perspective," or "Move south if you want to stay the same person." Nanami took the south direction, meaning he wanted to stay the same. There might be a chance that Gojo will choose north, and it might become a second awakening for him as he will look for himself, but from a different perspective. As we mentioned before, Gojo's head and stomach are still intact with the body, and in the afterlife, Gojo is standing with his friends in an airport. Gojo bids his friends farewell and moves to board the plane. That plane might be heading north. A second awakening. The scene also features a lotus flower. Traditionally, a lotus represents spiritual rebirth, further suggesting Gojo's possible return. Based on Nanami's advice, Gojo faces a decision: to head south and accept his fate, or move north, pushing his sorcery to new heights. With Nanami's choice of the south, it's plausible that Gojo will choose the north, marking his potential return and setting the stage for another showdown with Sukuna. I know some of you will say Gojo didn't say goodbye to his friends, but why is he in an airport? He might be deciding where to go between north and south. However, it's essential to approach these theories with a degree of skepticism, as they remain unconfirmed. Furthermore, based on Japanese manga popularity polls, Gojo Satoru stands out as the most beloved character in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. His captivating blue eyes, reminiscent of an expansive sky, combined with his unparalleled strength, have earned him the title of the strongest. Eliminating such a pivotal character could adversely impact the manga's sales. Given Gojo's immense popularity, it seems unlikely for the creators to sideline him permanently. For now, all we can do is speculate about Gojo's fate, and eagerly await the next chapters to see if he will indeed meet his end or if there's a twist in store. Well guys, what are your own theories? Leave your answers in the comments section below, and I would really appreciate it if you press that subscribe button.